Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, November 11th. Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans. Thank you for your service. I am Michelle Kinney. I'm here with my friend Julie Roginski. It is 8 a.m. in New York City. It is 6 a.m. in Las Vegas, Nevada. And if you want to know why we mentioned Nevada, it is because both of its Democratic senators voted to capitulate to Donald Trump on Sunday night. Welcome to the May Day morning show. Late on Sunday night, Donald Trump issued sweeping clemency to 77 people tied to efforts to overturn the 2020 election, including Rudy Giuliani, ridiculous, Sidney Powell, Kenneth how do you say his last name? Chesbro? Chesbro. I was like, it always looks like cheese to me, but Chesbro. And several so-called false electors who signed alternate certificates falsely claiming Trump had won battleground states such as Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona. The move effectively erased potential federal consequences for those who helped orchestrate or justify the faked elector scheme. A strategy central to the broader attempt to subvert Joe Biden's victory in 2020, though it does not shield them from ongoing state-level prosecutions. Coming 5 years after the 2020 election, the pardons amount to a political act of absolution, rewarding allies who advanced Trump's baseless fraud narrative. It underscores how Trump continues to wield presidential power to rewrite the history of January 6th and the election aftermath in 2020, recasting perpetrators as victims and turning clemency into another weapon in his long war against the rule of law. So what is this really about, Julie? Because he's pardoning these people for things that they haven't been charged with. This is 5 years after all of this happened. So what's going on? And he did this at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
After the whole Senate vote and all that stuff happened, the capitulation, then this like randomly kind of happened and got swept under the rug. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. So here's what I think. And by the way, I wrote about this on my Substack today. What I'm about to say is behind the paywall, which is why just watch the morning show. I'll just tell you guys all this for free. You don't have to pay for it. Here's what I think this is about. We had a election on Tuesday. The entire firmament of the political world was focused on the shutdown. So he didn't want to send a message to his base until after that was all resolved. As soon as it got resolved, which was Sunday night, he did it. So don't sleep on the timing, Michelle, because I think everybody, I read, I don't know how many articles about this in the New York Times. Everybody else is like, it doesn't mean anything because these are not federal crimes. They've been charged as state crimes. Here's the thing. It's not about retrospective crime. It's about him sending a message to his followers.
Right.
That there's an election coming up next year. And there's an election coming up in 3 years. And that you better understand that you do whatever it takes.
Yep.
Whatever it takes to win those elections, even if it means cheating, you will be pardoned for it. There are no consequences to illegal behavior. So go ahead and do it because nothing matters more than winning. The ends justify the means every single time.
And I will protect you.
And I will protect you. And I will pardon you on the way out the door if that's what it takes in 2029, even though I don't think he's leaving. But the message is there's absolute immunity for you as long as you do what I want, which is deliver this election to who I want you to deliver it to. Now, everybody keeps saying this doesn't mean anything because, as you said, they weren't charged with federal crimes, and this doesn't matter because they're really state-based crimes, and he can't do anything about that, and it's all retrospective, and it's about him trying to, relitigate the 2020 election, and all of that is true. He is trying to relitigate the 2020 election.
I mean, when isn't he? I mean, he talks about it.
Because every authoritarian on earth, every single one, has this thing where they try to effectively relitigate history and rewrite history to suit their means.
Right.
That it's about all of that too. But it is also, and I think it's very important to understand, it's also about sending a very strong message to future lawbreakers that I will protect you. You better deliver this election for me. 2020 was a trial run. He failed.
Yeah.
16 was a trial run.
Mm-hmm.
They learned some lessons. That should scare the hell out of all of us, by the way.
Absolutely. And again, there's not, I mean, for all of these people who were pardoned, including Mark Meadows, by the way, you know, there was another ring of people around them that were institutionalists. There were people in charge in places that could put a stop to things. At least, you know, they tried. And he wasn't successful. But as we said at the time, any coup attempt that is not held to account is just a practice run. And that's what that was. And we spent 4 years with a DOJ that did not want to be aggressive enough with one of the worst crimes against the United States government probably ever committed outside the Civil War.
Yep.
And Donald Trump is also one of those people, right? Like many authoritarians are. He vengeance runs through his veins, right? I mean, he will never give up. It will never be enough for him. So you better follow through with people like Donald Trump. You better follow through and not leave any room for error. Otherwise, they will come back with a vengeance that,
yeah.
I mean, and here we are. Here we are on November 11th, 2025, staring down the barrel of 3 more years of this, potentially more.
You know, all of these articles about Joe Biden being old and all of these articles about how Kamala Harris didn't have like a 20,000 page plan.
It's all just
or, you know, all this. It was such horseshit. And it was such a media generated bullshit thing. And what really upsets me about all of this is that it brought us to this moment where 4 years after that assault on the Capitol, this man was inside that very chamber.
Yep.
Outside, he was inside where they tried to break in. With the oligarchs of this country arrayed before him and members of Congress sitting in the back.
Yep.
Taking the oath of office. And I have to say, what is so upsetting to me about what happened on Sunday night and about these votes that were taken yesterday and about the fact that the Senate caved is that we tend to look at this kind of in isolation, right? Like, here's this bucket. January 6th happened. Here's this bucket. He pardoned all the people, false electors. Here's this bucket. He won't give health care to people who are about to have it go up thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars a year. They're not going to be able to afford it. According to Bernie Sanders, 50,000 people will die. 15,000, excuse me. No, 50,000 people.
50,000 people a year will die unnecessarily.
Yes, and 15 million will lose their health care.
That's right.
So, you know, all of that is not, it's not isolated. And the way the media covers it, everything's covered kind of in isolated things. But what I think we have to pay attention to is this is all part of a larger plan. I truly believe this, to destroy this country from within. I just don't understand what other reason there might be. I mean, he is full of anger. He's full of hate. I think he knows and understands deep down that he lost that 2020 election, and he wants to take revenge out on the people who cost him that election, i.e. the American people. There's no other reason to do this, right?
The American people, the Democrats. I mean, Anthony Scaramucci was on a podcast the other day. It's on his Instagram. He has a clip, and he talks about that, you know, the liberals just have more fun. They're cooler, right? The liberals have, you know, the celebrities, the better parties, the better clothes, the better food, the better music. I mean, and Donald Trump knows that. And he was never invited into the circles of people that were having the cool parties. He was always kind of looked at as kind of this joke, as a novelty, cheesy. And that's another part of him that is just, it's that little boy whose dad doesn't love him. You know what I mean? It's, but on a much bigger, stupider scale. And, you know, he doesn't feel that he's accepted into these circles in society. And it's just another layer of his retribution. And that's why he goes after Jimmy Kimmel. That's why when he sees an audience full of people at the Oscars or the Emmys laughing at him, he can't take it. And this is why I always want to remind people, because, you know, I did spend several years making ads and videos to upset him, and many times they did upset him, and he reacted to them. He does not like being made fun of. He does not like being laughed at. So if you want to get to him, that is one of the fastest, easiest ways, is to humiliate him.
Yeah, and I think also he got booed at the Chargers the Commanders game on Sunday. After his people floated that they want to move the new stadium to Navy Yard in Washington, and that they want to name it
after him. I was like, get out.
Why? Unclear. I mean,
he just got to stick his name. Listen, he's not going to be satisfied until every building in America has his stupid name in those stupid block letters hanging outside every building. It's like he sees Kim Jong-un and how people in North Korea have to have pictures of Kim Jong-un in their home. And he wants that. He wants everyone to be thinking about him all the time, whether that's looking at his name or looking at his picture. I mean, I think that he thinks he's like hot. Like, I honestly believe that. I think
who do you think he's better looking at than a couple of days ago? Like, I forgot who it was that he said, they asked him about so-and-so, and he said, I think I'm better looking than that person.
Oh, it was Zohran Mamdani.
Zohran Mamdani. Okay, now Zohran Mamdani, first of all, I think he's a good-looking guy, but obviously beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Zohran Mamdani is also like over 40 years younger than him.
Yeah, he's 34 years old.
34.
He's very young.
Donald Trump is like 78, 79. I mean, he's literally 45, 75 years older than Zohran. 75, 45 years older than Zohran Mamdani.
Yeah.
Like, calm down, my man. Like, okay. But what I think is also interesting about all this is that he got booed, I think, precisely because the people of the DMV, the Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, excuse me, District of Columbia, Maryland, Virginia region wanted to send him a message, which was, we don't want your goddamn on our stadium.
Of all the stadiums, I was like, you're gonna go to that one? Like, okay, Dallas Cowboys, okay, like, Kansas City Chiefs, okay, but this, I don't know, guys.
So let's wait and see what he does in retaliation, because it's coming.
Oh, for sure.
It's coming. I mean, look, he's already got troops on the streets of DC. I don't know. What's he going to do?
That he said now are going to be there until at least February. I mean, again, and listen, the city of New York too, right? Because he's always angry about New York.
New York's very interesting. So here's what I think about New York. So Zohran Mamdani gets elected, which is, of course, on the one hand, the worst nightmare for Republicans. And on the other hand, what a great opportunity to just go after, this guy who they made out to be this boogeyman.
Right.
And, but Zohran Mamdani said he's keeping Jessica Tisch as the police commissioner. And I don't know.
Is she going to stay? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if she's going to stay, but let's assume that she stays. Jessica Tisch, for people who don't know, is part of the Tisch family. And when Michelle talked about how Donald Trump was not accepted by the elite of New York, the Tisch family, they own the Giants.
Oh, I didn't like the Tisch School of Arts, like that family, NYU. Okay.
Yeah, the Tisch School of Arts.
I didn't realize that was the same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you go to like NYU, if you go to NYU Langone, which I had to take my mother to for testing not long ago. There's the Tisch wing, like if you go.
Yeah. I just know their musical theater programs.
Like Tisch everywhere. But unlike Donald Trump, it's not in big block letters. They really support medicine. They support the arts, as Michelle said, they support education. They are really one of the kind of elite families in New York. Exactly the kinds of people. They own the Lowe's Corporation. Exactly the kinds of people that Donald Trump was not tried to become, but never, I think, quite got there. Now, I have no idea what his relationship is with the Tisch family at the moment, but I think it was always aspirational on his part to be accepted by those types of people. If she remains as the police commissioner, and aside from the fact that she's a Tisch, I wanted to say that she is in her own right incredibly, I know her, she's incredibly impressive, and she's incredibly, like, it doesn't matter that, she's not like coasting on her name and her family's coattail.
Right.
Really legitimately.
That's why I was so surprised. I was like, really? A Tisch is the police
commissioner? Yeah.
All right.
And she was a sanitation commissioner before. She worked in the police department. Like, this isn't a woman who just showed up and said, give me the police commissioner badge. She worked in the police department. She really worked her way up through municipal government. She didn't need to. She did. She is fantastic in every way, on a personal level and also on a professional level.
Yeah.
Jesse Tish fan. I don't know that he will do that to her, because I don't know that he will do that to the family that he's constantly
Or he might, though, because he wants to stick it to them. Like I could
don't know. I don't know what her
now. You know,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what her relationship is with him, or her family's relationship is with him. I don't know if she could pick up the phone and say, "Mr. President, we don't need the military here." I just don't know. I do think the odds of her, if she stays, the odds of him doing that with her there are somewhat diminished, because the New York Post constantly writes glowing pieces about like his media love her. And the one thing that I think would be hard to say is, hey, New York has this massive crime wave problem, which is
right. They'd be saying that she's doing a terrible job.
Right. And I think that would be a little tougher, but I may be totally wrong. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he just wants to stick it to the people who he feels stuck it to him when he was younger. By the way, I don't know that they stuck it to him. I just don't think they kind of thought about it much, which is probably the worst offense you can have. Look, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of this is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out here.
The city's definitely getting ready for it. Like that has been written about. It's being talked about. Like the city is getting ready for like some kind of invasion. Like I feel like things feel a little tense right now.
Yeah. And then I see in the chat, somebody says Stallone said he's leaving New York City. Like Stallone's been living in Miami.
I'm like, he lives here? I've never even
He doesn't live here. He's been living in Miami and LA or Nevada.
I've seen Tony Danza many times, as have you. We're talking about Italian actors.
We're not triggering me with Tony Danza. That's a whole different story.
I know. But yeah. Anyways.
Anyway, yeah. So look, whatever. It's going to be. I am gravely concerned, and the signs are all there. And this is like sign number 287, which I don't know why the media is not writing about every single day, that he's going to try to subvert the elections next year. It's what he's going to do. And everybody's
talking about it. Gavin Newsom's talking about it. People like us, we're talking about it. Jim Acosta, like the people who get it. And then of course there's just like the rest of these people who are just like putting a little blanket around everyone going,
la, 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 like, because
like, don't worry, it's all going to be okay.
Because they take everything in isolation.
Yeah.
There's no, like, I don't understand. Did they not go to like high school English and like think about writing like thematics? Like there's a theme here.
Right.
There's a theme here. It's not just about like, I used to joke my son,
this is Dickens, guys. It's like, it's all connected.
They're all kind of thinking the same way my son used to write papers. Well, I shouldn't say papers, write shorts. His very first short story that he had to write in like second grade about a trip that we took somewhere. So he wrote a trip that we took to the Bahamas. And it was literally, and I only bring this up because it's kind of relevant to what I'm talking about. This is literally how the paper went. I still completely make fun of him for this, which I probably shouldn't. It was like, then we got off the plane. Then we got in the car. Then we went to the hotel. Then we got the key. Then we got in the elevator. Then we pushed the button. Then we got off the elevator. Then we walked down the hallway. And I'm like, oh my God, is this like a CIA like report? Like what? Like it was completely like, where's the, and I was like, I mean, he was like 7 or 8. I was like, Zach,
right.
What's the theme here? Like, what is the theme of the story? And he's like, huh? This is
like,
how
what's your point of view, right?
Yeah. And these people this is how they write. I mean, this is how they write their stories. Like
they regurgitate information.
And then, not even that. It's like, and then today, Donald Trump pardoned the electors. Oh, okay. This must mean that he's, still, this is him still talking about 2020 election. No, it is that, but it is so much more. It is so much more. So before we move on, I just want people to understand, just be aware, be vigilant, because it's coming. It's coming. He will not want to face the kind of humiliation he faced on Tuesday next year. Yeah. And more relevantly, unlike what happened this year, on next year, if Democrats get control of either the Senate or the House, unless they want the rest of us to burn it all down, they will start looking into stuff that he does not want looked into. I mean, all of it, the crypto fund, the Epstein stuff, hopefully
the foreign,
the model waivers. Yeah, right. the emoluments clause, what the relationship is between Steve Witkoff and all his little random trips to Moscow, which nobody ever knows.
Right, I was going to say the back door that's being, that's been then propped up inside the White House with the sorry, I have this ice pack and it's leaking. That's unfortunate. I was like, what's this blue stuff all over my hand?
Do you want to tell people what's going on with you right now? Michelle's like in massive pain at the moment because
I am a moron, and I was getting ready for the show, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna curl my hair, whatever. And my curling iron was sitting here, and I don't know why, guys. I don't know why. I reached down and I grabbed the hot part. 425-degree hot part. And so I've got an ice pack here. I have this stuff. If you know, this is the best stuff for burns from French Pharmacy, but I feel a little bit better. But all of a sudden I always looked down. I was like, what is this blue stuff all over my hand? And that is what is going on. So I'm having to talk about Donald Trump and have my hand throbbing, but I will survive. I will survive. But I don't even remember what I was saying now. But yeah.
Okay. Why don't we move on?
Let's move on.
Guys, stop me if you've heard this one before. Brace yourselves, because it's coming again. Republicans have a super secret healthcare plan. Yes, they do. They just can't tell you what it is yet. Dr. Oz, you know the guy. He's the one who peddled fake supplements to consumers for years and years. Told Fox News that he had spent all weekend working on a super secret plan to, you guessed it, repeal and replace Obamacare.
Yeah, I have that clip. Let's watch it together as a family.
350. The full counter proposal continuing resolution rolls back the Medicaid savings of $1.5 trillion. Republicans are never going to go for that. So do you have a thought on how you want to see this play out once these subsidies do expire this year?
You always ask the right questions, Maria. So I spent a good part of the weekend with the White House working on exactly the answer to that question. We have lots of great ideas, but I don't want to show our cards. As the president often says, why would I telegraph to you what we're going to do? We have to have an open government. I need my top people around to be able to navigate the right solutions. We will support the American people. We always have. We want to do it in the right, responsible way. If we don't, it'll implode. If we hadn't fixed Medicaid with the one big beautiful bill, it would have collapsed under the weight of its increasing expense. There was a 50% increase in Medicaid spending in the last 5 years since the COVID pandemic started. We're at peace. There's no virus. We've got to reset, right-size the program with things like the Rural Health Transformation Fund, where we're pouring $50 billion into rural American health care in order to fix a real problem. But we don't want to throw money at issues. We want to actually have tactical solutions that work, and it's happening.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we could talk about what a complete and utter moron Cliffside Park, New Jersey's own Dr. Oz is. He was a very good heart surgeon back in the day at Columbia Presbyterian.
He was at one time. Yes.
I don't want to take that away from him, but he's a complete charlatan. And it was one thing for him
he's a huckster.
Yeah, it was one thing for him to be a huckster on TV. Now he's a huckster in
government.
Listen, Michelle, we talked about this before. 15 million Americans who are about to face skyrocketing premiums thanks to Republican refusal to expand ACA subsidies are waited with bated breath for Dr. Oz to tell them what his super secret plan is, which of course was so super secret that they'll never tell us.
Right. Oh, I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to show my cards.
Yeah, but Michelle, we all get that. I think everybody watching this gets this. They've been peddling the same bullshit since Obamacare was passed 16 years ago, that they had a super secret plan. And any day now, they're going to release it. It's been 16 years. But wait. Dr. Oz, it may not be all lost for Dr. Oz, because there's still gullible Americans who believe this nonsense 16 years after the Affordable Care Act was enacted. And Michelle, you guessed it, one of them, of course, is retiring New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen, who just voted to reopen the government, along with all the Republicans who had this to say. Can you play that clip?
Yes, I can.
You say you're getting a guaranteed vote by a guaranteed date on a bill that, as you said, the Democrats will be writing, and it will not be Republicans who will write it with regard to health care subsidies. If it needs 60 votes, Senator, what are the chances that this subsidy lives through the new year then? If you have to get 60 votes, the chances are what that this survives the new year?
Well, I think finally, because of the shutdown fight, we've had a number of Republicans who have figured out that this is an issue for them. This is not a red state issue or a blue state issue. It's an issue about making sure that people can afford their health insurance. And so we've heard from a number of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle that they're willing to come to the table, they're willing to work with us once the government's open to get this done. We've heard the same thing from the White House. So now we'll see. We'll see if they are really going to work with us to make sure that Americans can afford their health insurance.
Well, Michelle, funny that you say that, because the Speaker of the House, who of course would have to post said bill to get it to the White House, has had this to say about that.
We'd like to bring back to the table, because that will actually solve the problem and not just subsidize insurance companies.
So you're not committing to bringing up a bill that deals with the Obamacare subsidies before they expire?
I'm not committing to it or not committing to it. What I'm saying is that we do a deliberative process. That's the way this always works, and we have to have time to do that, and we will in a bipartisan fashion.
If something passes the Senate,
I can't.
Yeah, the answer is no.
The answer is absolutely that's not happening. The answer is they're going to dismantle affordable health care. And I just got something else to say, Julie. Because there's a lot of former Republican, never Trumper Republicans who've got a lot to say about this in the last 24 hours. This is a win. Everyone just needs to calm down. I'm going to need you to take several seats, because before Trump came along, you all were running your mouths in your career, in your daily lives, trying to destroy ACA for years before Trump came along. So, like, I don't trust you. Just stop. Take a seat. This is not your fight. Because I'm sorry, this is one of those instances where I'm like, you are part of the reason that we are here. So I really don't want to hear about it at all. Please and thank you.
I mean, look, I got to say, our healthcare system in this country is ridiculous.
It's insane.
It's insane. And I just recall very clearly being 25 years old and being in the north of England, driving to Scotland. People who are watching the show from Great Britain will understand what I'm talking about. It was a cold and stormy night, and I was driving on the wrong side of the road, and I did not know what I was doing, and I was with a friend, and we were driving through some very rural, on some very rural road, and the road turned and my car didn't. And we went straight into some poor farmer's wall.
Oh, no.
And my friend, who was my friend at the time, my best friend at the time, was very, very tall. She was about 5'10", 5'11". And because she was so tall, she literally bent forward and straight into the windshield. She was wearing God, and she had an awful, it's fine. She was okay, but she had an awful concussion.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And the boom was so strong that all of these people at the pub, like a mile down the road, heard this crash and came running with their umbrellas and finally called the ambulance. I mean, they were fantastic. I wish I remembered the name of this little village somewhere in Northumberland, really not far from the Scottish border, because they were just the most wonderful people. And I always said, I will leave money in my will for them because they were just so great. But the moral of the story is that we were taken to the hospital. We were checked out. She had x-rays, she had MRIs, she had the whole thing. And we did not get a bill. Just never got a bill. Because that's how it works in
other parts of the world, that
in the most civilized parts
everywhere.
Right. We did not get a bill. Now imagine, and we didn't have healthcare in England. Now imagine if this happened here. I would have gotten a $30,000 bill just for in the ER.
Yeah, they charge you like $500 for a Band-Aid.
Yeah. So I say all of this to say that, this isn't a game, but what pisses me off is that when Obamacare was being debated, there was a provision to make sure that Congress had to be on Obamacare so that it would keep them honest.
Yeah.
That provision was removed in order to get support for the bill, which is shitty. Because these people all deserve to be on these exchanges. So they understand how shitty these exchanges are, but they're better than nothing. I'm not suggesting they're good. I have friends who are on these exchanges. They're the worst. But the point is, it's the only thing people have, especially like
something.
Like, well, look, if you're a solo practitioner, I don't know how else to say it. If you don't have
like an independent contractor or something like that.
If you're an independent contractor, or you can't buy insurance. You have to go on the exchanges.
Yeah.
Unless you're married or you have some other means of doing it. I mean, I know this because I shut my company down during COVID, and I had to, or after COVID, I should say. And, you know, I had to really consider what that meant, because if it was just me by myself, then I had to go on the exchanges. And luckily I have a husband, but nevertheless, like, otherwise I would have been really screwed. And, you know, they don't get it because they don't live it.
Yeah.
They have physicians who are in the House or the Senate, that if something happens, they just go to the, you know, to the Senate physician or the House physician and get it checked out. No questions asked.
It's the thing. It's like, you don't, unless you've ever been in a situation like that, where you do not have access to healthcare, or if you do, it will bankrupt you. Until you've been through something like that, you don't know. And I mean, listen, but even then, the physicians that are in the Senate, Senator Cassidy, right? I look at him, and he voted to confirm RFK Jr. as Health and Human Services Secretary. Like, that's where I'm just like, even sometimes when they know better, they won't do it. They won't do the right thing, because they're just soulless, craven, selfish people.
It's about, so here's the problem for the Republicans. First, it's about winning. But if you want to drill, it's solely about winning. But if you want to drill, and the ends always justify the means. But if you want to drill down even more to the winning thing, it's about them winning first. So Bill Cassidy was threatened with a primary. And God forbid Bill Cassidy has a primary and has to actually get off his butt
and actually do something. Right.
And try to defend his seat, or just say, you know what, I'm doing morally the right thing. I'm going to vote against this charlatan. I'm going to vote against this other.
He could have stopped it.
He could have stopped it, but he didn't. He didn't, because he was too scared of a primary. And the part that absolutely slays me, that I just cannot even comprehend, is that they only care about how it affects them. This man is a doctor. He took the Hippocratic Oath. The rest of us, from his perspective, can go ahead and die. It doesn't matter. I mean, the numbers of people who are going to die because these subsidies are not extended, the numbers of people who are going to die because RFK doesn't want to vaccinate people, the numbers of people who are going to die because they're peddling all sorts of bullshit about medicine that is not rooted in science. The fact that Bill Cassidy, a physician, confirmed Dr. Oz, who was before the Senate not so long ago being excoriated for peddling like green caffeine pills. I don't even know what it is.
Oh, all kinds of stuff. I mean, and also was doing experiments on puppies back in the day at Columbia University, who killed a bunch of puppies. Like, he's not a good person.
I mean, listen.
And he looks like he's gotten a lot of filler in his face. Like, did you notice that? His face looked really puffy. Anyways, he's gross. Anyways.
He's gross, a celebrity. But like, you know, we've all met people like this. I, back when I was really involved in New Jersey government, I was, and I continue to be very, very, very close to the chair of the New Jersey State Senate Health Committee, which, if you know, he's a pretty powerful guy in state government and has a lot of say over hospitals, a lot of say over medicine. So because I was close to him, somebody got wind of this and wanted to hire me at this sketchy hospital, which I will remain nameless, to have me do work for them. And I'm not a lobbyist. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. But they're like, no, we'll just give you a tour of the hospital, and like really gave me the grand tour. These were the biggest scam artists. They basically wanted the state to reimburse them for some cryogenic, like MRI. I don't know what this machine was that they said would cure autism. And they, and they wanted to be reimbursed by the Division of Insurance in New Jersey for this machine that would cure autism. Now, if you're a desperate parent and some hospital comes to you, oh yeah, this whole thing was a big scam. This hospital comes to you and says, hey, we've got the super secret thing that will cure autism. You are going to do, you're going to, your last penny, right? To save your child. And this is what this is. This is what Dr. Oz is. This is what
They prey on people. They're predators.
They're predators on people who are truly desperate for cures, truly desperate to solve diseases. I'm not suggesting that modern science always gets it right, but these people have been consistent in peddling bullshit to line their own pockets.
Knowingly.
Because Dr. Oz, unlike RFK, who really probably has a brainworm in his head, Dr. Oz actually is a really, really good doctor. He knows better. He knows better. But that compound in Cliffside Park, New Jersey was not going to build itself. And it wasn't going to build it just with Columbia money, even though he was making probably millions as a cardiothoracic surgeon at Columbia. I mean, it's so disgusting and it's so gross. And if you know these people, as I don't know them personally, I've been around Dr. Oz a little bit, but they're just gross. It's like I keep thinking back to those people who are like, and there's their machine that's going to cure autism. And I got the hell out of that hospital so fast, Michelle, because I'm thinking, I don't even want to be around you. You're so disgusting. This guy. I called this state senator and I said to him, I go, you will not believe what I just sat through because they wanted me to talk to you about you. And he was like, oh my God, he was horrified. But I mean, it's all the more gross because Dr. Oz knows full well that he's not solving Obamacare. He's not going to spend the weekend working on some super secret plan. The weekend, really? The weekend?
Oh, yeah. Let me spend the weekend.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, it's like that they all have in common, all of these people, the grifters in the Trump circle, is they're knowingly doing it. They know they're knowingly harming people and they don't care and it will never be enough. That's the other thing. Like Dr. Oz is already insanely wealthy. Why does he need more money? Why does he need more money? But it's never enough for people. It becomes an addiction, power, right? Yeah. Addiction to power and money. And it's like Professor Harold Hill, from The Music Man, coming to town, like conning the people. It's the same thing. It's an age-old story,
It's what your former colleague over at Lincoln Project said. Everything Trump touches dies. Dr. Oz, I don't know if he thinks he's going to go back to TV after this and continue to grift on some show. It's over for Dr. Oz.
It's over.
And his career is dead. Because all the people who tuned into Dr. Oz before, now he's been tarnished with the MAGA brush. It's over. I don't know where he thinks he's running. He's not going to run in Pennsylvania ever. He doesn't live there. He lives in New Jersey.
No, I mean, that was a big part of Fetterman's
of course.
media campaign. It was actually very funny.
I guess he can go ahead and pretend to try to run in New Jersey, but I mean, the odds of him getting elected in New Jersey are negative, 10,000. Right.
Which is even more insulting to the people of Pennsylvania. He was like, well, New Jersey won't elect me, but the Pennsylvania people, they're
exactly.
You know?
I mean, he's not getting elected to dog catcher in New Jersey, which is where he lives. And so I don't understand where these people think they're going next.
Yeah.
I get the power. I get the fact that you now think you can control the healthcare system in this country, and you can. You're going to kill people. And that's why you don't put billionaire hucksters or millionaire hucksters in charge of healthcare systems.
No.
So anyways,
Julie,
let's talk about something that is going to make everybody else happy, which is in our next segment.
Yes, we'll be right back. Well, Julie, it is not just Democrats who are on the cusp of a civil war. A sharp clash has erupted in the conservative movement after Tucker Carlson interviewed white nationalist and Holocaust-denying figure Nick Fuentes, sparking public condemnation from other MAGA figures like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin. I always say it wrong. The Heritage Foundation under President Kevin Roberts, if you remember, he's the guy from Project 2025. It'll be the second American Revolution shall remain bloodless if the left allows it. That guy. Kevin Roberts tried to defend Carlson's platform, calling critics a venomous coalition, a move that triggered resignations and internal revolt at the Heritage Foundation over alleged anti-Semitic undertones and leadership failures. So can these people hurry up and devour each other already? Because, Julie, we've talked about this on this show and other places. There are so many layers of hell going on over at the right, that most people don't know about. And I would argue that a lot of people on the right don't even know about, especially after the death of Charlie Kirk. There's a vacuum to be filled there. And Nick Fuentes, for as awful as he is saying a lot of things that resonate with people. Things about affordability, he's been talking about for a long time, housing. And again, I invite people to go on Rumble, maybe have a little whiskey with you just to get yourself through it, but watch for a couple hours, go on Rumble and watch Nick Fuentes' videos. You will see what I'm talking about. You will see what I'm talking about. So I wonder, Julia, like, at what point is all of this going to implode?
I mean, it's already imploding. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. They have absolute power right now. You have Tucker Carlson, who left Fox News, kind of an ignominy, right? Took the fall to some extent for the Dominion, the Dominion debacle, which in fairness, he shouldn't have, because he was just one of, I don't know. I mean, Jeanine Pirro gets to have a seat on the 5 and he gets fired, but whatever. And reinvents himself, much like Megyn Kelly did, as this incredibly influential podcaster, which I have to say, like, good for them. I mean, like, take lemonade. But here's the thing about Tucker. I'm going to spill some tea for you guys right now.
Please do. Because just so people know, Julie knows Tucker Carlson, worked with Tucker Carlson for years.
I worked with Tucker Carlson for years. And more relevantly, Tucker Carlson and I actually got along quite well when we worked together, because Tucker Carlson, I always said this about Tucker. Tucker is a fun, smart, pithy guy if you ignore the massive racist that he is. And that is not an act with Tucker. And I'm going to tell you guys a story. Michelle, I might have told you before, and I might have even said this at some point on one of our shows, but I'm going to repeat it here again. On election night 2012, and this is relevant to talk about what a bunch of racists, and maybe we should put this in context. Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is a horrible anti-Semite, racist, really hates Jews.
Hates women too. Ooh, hates women.
Hates women. I have a story about Tucker too. Maybe I'll save that one. But Fuentes really is so awful that even people like Charlie Kirk, when he was alive,
yes,
and Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, or Levin, I think it's Levin. I have a friend named Mark Levin, so I can't remember which.
I know. I'm like, Levin, Levin, I don't know.
But all of these people think that he's so atrocious that they have just completely disowned him. And so much so that when I was on NBC on election night, I was on with Hogan Gidley, who's Trump's former deputy communications director at the White House during the first term. And Hogan Gidley was like, you guys have an anti-Semitism problem on the left because of Zohran Mamdani. And I said, I guess I'll take that from people who don't hang out with Nick Fuentes. And he's like, we don't hang out with Nick Fuentes. And I got really angry. I said, really? Because our president, had him over to Mar-a-Lago for dinner. So Nick Fuentes is completely disgraced, but is now that Charlie Kirk is dead, really, really, really kind of going up the charts. And Tucker Carlson gave him a platform, which of course we could talk about that more. Unleashed holy hell at the Heritage Foundation. Kevin Roberts, the head of the Heritage Foundation, defended Tucker Carlson for doing it. That led to a tremendous amount of resignations at Heritage. Like, Nick Fuentes is a real problem for these.
Yes.
But Tucker stuck with Nick Fuentes. And I want to explain why Tucker stuck with Nick Fuentes, because people don't understand what this is all about. Tucker Carlson is not just racist against Black people and Jews and Latinos, though he is. on election day, 2012, if people remember, Barack Obama won.
Mm-hmm.
They called Ohio for Obama. If I don't know if people remember this, but Karl Rove was like, no, Ohio can't.
I remember that.
He went crazy. Megyn Kelly got up and walked over to the brain
I
room.
remember she had the camera crew with her. They walked up.
The brain room. Is it true that Obama won Ohio? And the answer is Obama.
Oh, it was delightful. It was delightful.
It was delightful. Well, while that was all happening on set, right off the set, I was sitting with Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham. We were all about to go on air as soon as Karl Rove and that crew got off. We were like the second shift. We were about to go on air. And so we're waiting in the green room watching this, and we watched Megyn walk by us. And Laura Ingraham is so upset that she disappeared somewhere. I think she left. I'm not even sure she ended up being on air that day. She left. So now it's Tucker and me, and we're sitting by ourselves. And Tucker says to me, do you want to go smoke something in the bathroom? And I say, no. He was a big smoker at the time. I think he meant cigarettes, but I think I'm going to assume that's what he meant. And I said, no, I'm good. And he comes back and he's all despondent and he's like, oh, this is what a horrible day. And I said, not for me. My guy won. And sometimes Tucker forgot that I actually, because we bantered so well that I think he probably even forgot that I was a Democrat. But so he's really upset. And I say, hey, Tucker, I'm going to give you some advice. By the way, how stupid am I with this advice? If you keep treating people from Central, South America, Mexico, like they're criminals, and don't ever start treating them like they're human beings, you're never going to win another national election. Latino community, the demographics are growing. You cannot keep referring to them as terrorists, as drug traffickers. You have to actually treat them like normal people.
Right.
And he's like, who's we? Because I'm not a Republican. He was very prided himself on being not a
libertarian or whatever. Yeah.
I said, listen, Tucker, like, you're upset about Romney losing. Well, the reason Romney lost, part of the reason is because you guys treat people who are Latino like shit. And you got to stop. And you got to stop calling them criminals. You have to stop doing that, or else you guys are never going to win another election. And Tucker Carlson looked at me and he goes, but Julie, they are criminals. And I said, Tucker, no, it gets worse. I said, Tucker, you sound like the people in the 1920s who would say no Irish need apply.
Right.
And we're super, I said, you can't categorize an entire group of people this way. It's the same way that they used to talk about the Irish being criminals or Italians being criminals, whatever, right? In the 1920s. And Tucker Carlson looked at me and he said, but they were. They're the ones who brought crime to this country. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, we didn't have crime in this country until the mass migration of people from South and Eastern Europe. He goes, and the Irish, the Irish with their whiskey and the Italians with their mafia and the Poles with their vodka. We didn't have crime in this country until that all happened. And I said, Tucker, how old are you? And he was just a few years older than me at the time. So I'm going to say he's maybe in his early to mid 40s at the time. And whatever age he was, let's say he was 44. He's like, I'm 44. Yeah. I said, I have never in my lifetime heard anybody say this. All I've heard my entire life, I've read about people in the 1920s who said this. And he was like, no, we had no crime in this country until that, he starts getting all intellectual with me about like the Eastern European migration and the Southern European migration. And until the Irish came here with the potato famine, where they brought their whiskey with them and the Italians brought their mafia with them. And I was like, holy shit, this is what the Ku Klux Klan used to say.
Yeah, yeah.
And every time Tucker Carlson, then several years later, Bill O'Reilly gets fired. They replace him with Tucker Carlson. Tucker's ratings were through the roof.
Trust me, I watched.
Right. But Tucker's ratings were through the roof in the Midwest. And the entire time I kept thinking, if these people who watch Tucker Carlson knew what he thinks about them, if they are of Italian descent or Irish descent or anybody else, they would be shocked.
Yeah.
They would be shocked. So I'll say this about Tucker. I mean, like, this is what we're dealing with. Nick Fuentes, he's not just giving Nick Fuentes a platform because he's trying to be contrarian, or it's a First Amendment issue, or he wants to get, all the Groyper ratings for himself. I think he believes this stuff.
Oh, 100%, because Nick Fuentes talks a lot about Israel, right? He's very anti-Israel. For whatever reason, talks about, the people of Gaza, the Palestinians, and how they're getting screwed by the Israelis. And like, he talks about it a lot. And that is very similar to the talking points of Tucker Carlson, is not only his isolationist view, right, of foreign policy, but also his views towards Israel. And so they're very aligned on that. And that is where Nick Fuentes butt heads with Ben Shapiro, with Charlie Kirk big time. And Nick Fuentes, again, like, demons in that kid's, like, he's got demons, there's something going on there that he's not facing.
Yeah.
But he's an angry little man. He's very young, and a lot of young men like him. And again, he's talking about these kind of populist ideas about affordability and housing and like young people and what we're struggling with, right, in this country. And like, Tucker Carlson sees all of that. And I think he agrees with a lot of it to a certain extent. And I think he sees someone like Nick Fuentes as like, he can be part of my coalition. Right? I mean, that's how I see it.
I mean, yes, I think that Tucker fundamentally wants to bring the country back. I mean, as much as we talk about Stephen Miller and he wants to deport everybody who doesn't look like Stephen Miller is still the descendant of Jews, right?
Yeah.
Of Jews. So I don't know where Stephen Miller thinks he's going, but believe me, eventually they will come for Stephen Miller, and probably pretty quickly. But Tucker, I think, truly thinks that this country was some halcyon paradise.
Right. Utopia.
Utopia back before you had.
I was like, are we not knowing about how many, like, hundreds of years of slavery and what we did to the indigenous people of this continent? Like, I mean, does that not count as crime? I mean, like, come on.
These are the people who prevented, I think it was called, I forgot the law was called, but in the late 19th century, prevented basically Chinese people from coming here who were
the Chinese Exclusion Act, was it?
Chinese Exclusion Act thing. And then, of course, very good, Michelle. And then all the laws in the Immigration Act in the 1920s that effectively stopped immigration for a very long time. And this is what these people want.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, it is about race. And it's not just about race. It's about a particular kind of race. And it's not just, hey, if you're Irish, you're white. If you're Italian, you're white. And if you're Polish, you're white. I'm not even talking about Jewish people or Black people.
Right.
He knows that's a whole separate. Like, I'm not even talking about that, because that's like whatever. But if let's say you're Irish, right? Let's say your last name was O'Hara. You're not the right kind of white. I'm sorry to tell you. So all of you people who are Irish or Italian who think you're part of this MAGA coalition, understand that once they seize power and they don't need your votes anymore, they will come for you too.
Yep.
They will come for you too.
Well, and it's how the Klan was able to recruit in the North, right? Is like the anti-Catholic sentiment, right? Which was Italians and Irish people as well. And the other interesting part about this, Julie, is that Nick Fuentes has been, as of late, very critical of Donald Trump. And I just want to play this clip too, because I think that, again, like, this wing of the right understands that Donald Trump is not forever, and how are they going to carry this on?
I hate to admit it, liberals were right fundamentally about Trump. Whether he has good intentions or bad intentions, whether he means well or not, some people blame his advisors, some people blame people around him. Whatever you think about his culpability, he is in effect, okay? Maybe not consciously or intentionally, but in effect, what he is a demagogue. What he is a populist demagogue. And directionally, what liberals said about him, which is that he was stirring up the rubes, animating the rubes with nativist rhetoric and ginning up resentment against the system to empower himself and the people around him, and then brought the swamp closer to the periphery in his first and second administration, willing to say and do anything. Yeah, that all kind of turned out to be true.
Right. So he says this among many, 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 many other things, right? And then Tucker Carlson has him on his show. This is after him being like completely Jew hating for years at this point. Mark Levin.
Want the anti-American, anti-Israel, anti-West crowd to understand something. You're going to have to come through me and millions of people just like me, and you're not going to make it. You think your stupid little podcast, or your stupid little subscription program, or your little TV show, or maybe you have a little radio show, is going to change the world like hell it is, not if I and everybody else have something to say about it.
And then Megyn Kelly.
Stop. He's talking about Tucker there. Those two have hated each other since Fox, just so you know.
Right. And on the podcast with Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson, because I watched some of it, they talk about Nick Fuentes was like being a young man, and like the thing that he's still a young man, but younger, would listen to Mark's radio show or whatever it was on Sirius XM or wherever his show is, that he would listen to that. And he's like, that's that's what I used to be like, but now I'm like this. And so Megyn Kelly, another former colleague of yours from Fox News, on a panel,
Nick Fuentes has said a long list of very vile things.
Big time, including attacking my dad, which was the most vile of all, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I personally have watched videos of him questioning the Holocaust, likening it to baking cookies in the oven, and there's no way you could have gotten to 6 million, seems to be his theory. He seems to think that we've way overstated the number of Jews killed in the Holocaust. He's ripped on poor Usha Vance in the most offensive terms, which I mean, so what do you say to those people who say, why didn't you raise any of that?
You know, do your own interview the way that you want to do it. You're not my editor. Buzz off. I mean, I don't know. You want to go yell at Nick Fuentes? I'll give you his cell. Call him and go sit and yell at him and feel virtuous or whatever. That's up to you. I got the same thing with Putin. Why aren't you yelling at him? Okay, why? So I can show that I'm a good person? I care about what my wife thinks, my children think, and God thinks, and that's it. I don't need to prove that I'm a good person to you. You may think I'm a terrible person. Okay, I'm just doing my thing, which is I want to understand what people think. And I'm committed to that. And if you don't like it, don't watch. That's my view.
Yeah, I also have to respect that. By the way, that's absolutely true. He does not care what anybody thinks except his wife and his kids. Like that part is 1,000.
As vile as he is, that must be like, I don't know. He must sleep well. I don't know.
Well, you know, I think it's fascinating that he's like, he went after my dad, and that's the worst thing that you can do.
Yeah, because his mom took off and left them. And
you know what? It's not actually the worst thing that he can do. Like, he's literally calling for, like, you know, the suppression of Jews and others. But I'm glad that he went after Mr. Carlson, who, by the way, used to run NPR.
Really?
His dad. Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, you know, Tucker, as much as he's like, I don't care, I only care what my wife and my kids think, he's making a lot of money spewing what he's doing. I mean, he took that huge Fox News audience with him to some extent.
And grievance. You know?
And Tucker voted for Trump in 2016, despite thinking, he said this to me, despite knowing that Trump was a clown, utter clown. He lived in the District of Columbia at the time. He lived in D.C. And I said to Tucker, why did you vote for Trump? Like, I never expected him to vote for Hillary, but I was actually surprised that he voted for Trump. And I was like, but why did you vote for Trump? And he goes, to stick it to my neighbors. Because he lived in Northwest D.C., which is very liberal.
Right.
And very affluent, but also very. I wanted to stick it to my neighbors. It's all about sticking it to the libs. That's all Tucker. Tucker is motivated truly by two things. One is, he's absolutely right. He loves his wife and his kids. He's motivated by that. He's married to the same woman who he's been dating since they went to boarding school together. And I think she was the principal's daughter, so the headmaster's daughter. Like, and she looks exactly as you would picture her to look. Very nice woman. But he's also motivated by sticking it to the libs, and he's made a lot of money sticking it to the libs.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of grievance with Tucker because Tucker got bounced from everywhere he's ever worked, right? Tucker used to be at MSNBC. He got bounced. Tucker used to be
CNN, Jon Stewart, Crossfire.
Right? He got bounced. Tucker used to be a great writer, and I forgot that wasn't the Washington Post, but he used to write for some pretty mainstream publications. He got bounced. Tucker
was rejected from the CIA.
Yeah, he got rejected from the CIA. He ultimately got bounced by the Murdochs. Now, Roger Ailes, who I used to work for, with whom I have my own complicated history, did not like Tucker Carlson, did not want him to anchor any shows. They gave him Fox and Friends on the weekends that they then gave to Pete Hegseth after Tucker got moved up. But Roger Ailes did not like Tucker Carlson. Everything about Tucker Carlson was everything Roger Ailes couldn't stand. The elitism.
Really?
The elitism, the condescension, the coastal kind of, he doesn't like smarty pants guys. Like he always, he always said he'd rather hire from Ohio State than from Harvard for that very reason. Which, okay, you know what? I get it. Right. Anyway, did not like Tucker. Rupert Murdoch liked Tucker, and the boys like Tucker. Lachlan and James like Tucker, and
they're
very similar. Very similar, entitled young men who then became middle-aged men. Very elitist, coastal elites, very wealthy, grew up very wealthy, and feel entitled to everything they have. So he got that job because Rupert Murdoch gave him that job, and he consistently said he didn't care who he pissed off. He treated Suzanne Scott, the head of Fox News, like shit, from what I understand. This is after I left.
Yeah.
Because he didn't care. He had the protection of the Murdochs. And when he lost the protection of the Murdochs, I think it was almost like losing the protection of a father figure in Rupert Murdoch. So he's pissed. He's pissed. He's got a massive chip on his shoulder. And the stuff that's been sitting inside him, which is, I am a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Yeah.
And I am going to only support white Anglo-Saxon Protestants because everybody else in this country, it's always been sitting within him. Now it's coming out. And again, he's right. He doesn't care what he thinks, anybody thinks, because I'm sure his wife and his kids agree with him. So, it's hard.
Remember his bow ties? He always loved those bow ties. He wore them. He doesn't wear those anymore.
Well, I think even that was a little too elitist. But yeah, I mean, listen.
Yeah, it was very.
I've got so much tea on Tucker. I've got so much tea on Tucker. I can talk another day about.
We should have Tucker time. And on that note, I do have a video that I can play us out with. I made this actually, I guess now a couple months ago. I made this right after the Charlie Kirk assassination, because I wanted people to understand more about Nick Fuentes and the Groyper world. Yeah. Groyper are his followers. It all sounds ridiculous. It is, but it's real. And this is some scary stuff. So I'm going to play us out on that. Just trigger warning. He's a terrible guy and he says upsetting things. But with that said, Julie, any parting words?
We'll see you guys tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Wednesday? I feel like this week is
Wednesday. I know. I was like, how is it only Tuesday? Yeah.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. And I have I'm not sure you could hear, I have a bit of a sore throat. So hopefully it'll get cured by tomorrow. And it was great to see everybody this morning. Have a great rest of your day. Michelle and I might be back if breaking news warrants it. So stay tuned. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. You'll be the first to know, everybody.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
We'll play this video now.
This is the video. He quote tweets the video. He says, Jew hate has no place in civil society. It rots the brain. Once again, if you feel so confident, then debate me. What's the excuse at this point? Well, I don't want to platform him. My show's bigger than your show. I'm a bigger live streamer than you. What's the argument? We don't want to give him any oxygen. My ideas are mainstream. Half your audience believes my ideas. What's the argument? The only reason that Charlie Kirk will debate every college kid, every leftist, every socialist, but not me, is because he'd lose. It's that simple. Who is the youth with? When you saw the Nelk stream with me versus Hassan, who was the audience with, me or him? The only reason, everyone knows, Charlie Kirk will not debate me because I would fucking devour him. I would eat him alive. And at the end of the day, that's going to happen one way or the other. Whether he chooses to confront me or not, whether he has dignity and honor or not, it's just a matter of time. My ideas are already there. I've already impregnated your organization. I took Turning Point USA and I fucked it. I took your organization, I took your baby, Turning Point USA, and I fucked it. And I've been fucking it. And that's why it's filled with groypers. That's why your whole crew, that's why the people around you, that's why your chapter presidents, that's why your attendees, they're all groypers. So whether you choose to confront me or not over the honor of your Turning Point USA, it's immaterial to me. I'd like it. I just get a sick satisfaction out of it. Because I like to win. But we're already there. And this whole ideology, Zionism plus free market, it's dead either way. You know it. I know it. Pretty much the whole world knows it's over. In the last 7 years, who's moved closer to who? Could anybody accuse me of stealing Charlie Kirk's ideas? No. Has Charlie Kirk every step of the way moved in degree closer to me? Tried to ape my bit, my ideas, my style? Oh, no question. No question. We already own you. We own you. We own Turning Point USA. We own this movement. Whether you decide to have dignity about it and face me or not, that's up to you. That's something you'll have to tell your children. When Nick Fuentes became the future, when the groypers took over the movement, did you take a valorant last stand? Were you courageous? Were you bold? Did you go down swinging or did you go down like a bitch? Did you run and hide? That's the only thing when you're explaining that to your family, Mr. Family Man. When you're explaining to your wife, when she's saying, why won't you just debate Nick Fuentes? And you got to explain to her. When your kids grow up, why didn't you just confront Nick Fuentes? You got to explain to them why you were afraid, why you were a coward. That's the only difference. Immaterial to me. We already won.